All right, hello people. This is episode 7 of Social Leverage, and we are talking about Instagram marketing and visual branding, which you really can't talk about Instagram without talking about visual branding. And so we're covering that, and we is myself and Rob. So, yeah.
We
and
is.
I just, what?
We is.
We are. I didn't say we is.
It sounded like it. Now, see, we have fun on this show, and it's great. And those who join us get to partake in the fun. You know, it's banter, and that's the fun thing about social media. But Instagram is different, and it should be treated differently. And those who post the same pictures to the same mediums like Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, no, treat Instagram differently. And you're going to see that your branding is actually going to work better on Instagram than it will on Facebook.
Absolutely. And you'll also find that it's very easy to grow an audience on Instagram. We've touched on this in the Twitter episode when talking about hashtags, which we'll dive into a little bit later, but it's pretty easy to grow a following on Instagram. And I'm just going to hammer out the main key things that we're going to cover as an overview. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of Instagram, who should be on it, why they should be on it, how to convey a story, and how to develop a look and feel, so a brand, so that it's not so shoot in the dark, random bunch of content. Because I think the number one thing I see between successful Instagrammers and not so successful Instagrammers is that the ones who really grow a thriving community, that click the links in the bio, that convert into emails, they focus on showing up in a consistent way. So a lot of times when you start using Instagram, a lot of people automatically default to posting quotes. And that's cool. But nowadays, you need to think about how it ties in to your overall brand. So there's plenty of people posting quotes online, and that's a cool thing to do. But the power of Instagram is sort of the look and feel of your story, your message, your company, and your values through imagery. And you have to find the best way that also incorporates your brand. So you're still telling your story, but you're almost giving, it's not really a behind the scenes look, I wouldn't say, but it's insight in a visually appealing way.
And it has to make you human. You know, what I've been seeing though is people that are trying to brand themselves, but every single post that they put on Instagram has the same pictures. You know, they might change the quotes, but it looks cloned. You know, everything on their Instagram looks the same, and there's no humanity in it. And I think that when you're building a brand, people need to be able to see that you're not only human, but they can trust you. Mm-hmm. And if everything on your site looks the same, it has no emotion, they're going to go to someone else.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that Rob's talking about too is it's good to have a consistent brand, so a consistent look and feel to the image, but don't use the exact same template on everything. Like, you know, if we were to do this social leverage program and every time we just use the exact same quote and the exact same image and the exact same color, I mean, there are elements to branding that need to shift. So like your background images, all that stuff, but there are definitely things that need to stay consistent. So when I think about looking at a brand, whether they're on Instagram or anywhere really, but especially on Instagram, I pick between two to four fonts, and we use that font on everything because that is a consistency. That tells somebody, okay, this is so-and-so, and this is the feel. This conveys their message. But then where the variations come in are the images we use, the stock images we use, and then interweaving those with company images. So, what's the team up to? A quick video from the founder of the company, that type of thing. So it's interweaved with all the other elements of the company.
Yeah, I think what irritates me, and it could irritate other people too, but I see it a lot where everybody uses the same circle, and inside the circle they got quotes. And I went to someone's page the other day, and it must have had 30 or 40 circles, and out of 50 pictures they put on there, and it just, everything was the same. And I'm thinking, okay, why should I stick around? Why should I follow this? The quotes were nice, but they were the same quotes I saw everywhere else.
Right.
So make it a little different. Put your personality in it and make it shine.
Mm-hmm.
It's Instagram is very flexible. So as long as you're adding pictures, you're adding video, but you keep it consistent, people are going to want to keep coming back.
Yeah, and by consistent, like Rob's saying, by consistent we mean tell your story in a way that's not changing so much that people don't know what's going on, but be uniform enough in your brand that people recognize who you are. Like they know this content is coming from Rob, or they know this content's coming from Vital Media Marketing, which is my company. They know it's coming from, whatever company is your company, but you mix the medium. So you mix in some video, you mix in some personal shots. And I think one thing that's important too that Amy Porterfield, I believe, mentioned a lot is not every image on Instagram has to be this clean, crisp, perfect image. And in fact, it almost dehumanizes you a little bit if everything you do is that perfect, because people are just like, a lot of times, is that even attainable? And in the entrepreneur community, sometimes the frustration is, oh my goodness, they're so perfect. How am I ever going to reach that levels? Or in the fitness community, oh my gosh, that person is like, they're a model and they're perfectly fit and their body is so chiseled. How am I ever going to look like that, right? And so having the, interweaving some real footage, whether it's just a video and, on the go, a sweaty video from your workout, whatever it is, that's okay, because it tells people, look, I'm awesome, but I'm not perfect, and my lifestyle is attainable. And that's the thing about Instagram, it's about lifestyle. And so if you're always portraying this almost Barbie doll-esque life, people are just aren't going to relate to that.
Right. And and it also goes to not having your Instagram too clean. And there are programs out there that will create a giant picture. They'll take 9 Instagram slots and make one giant picture, which I find irritating, because now I have to go through a bunch of pictures, or I have to come back out and see the whole thing to see what it actually looks like.
There's one company who does it really, really well, and I forget what it is, but I'm going to try and hunt it down. But they did that, but every photo at the same time was also a standalone photo. So if you're going to do that, what Rob's talking about, so you have on Instagram, basically when you get to the home screen of your profile, they show you like 9 images at a time before it dips to the next screen where you have to scroll to see more. And there's this one food company, and what they did was they made it look like this this long ongoing table. And every square was like a specific food combination, and there was like a recipe attached to each one. But then when you scroll through the profile, it looked like this long table. So you're scrolling through and it looks like this big, huge wooden table with all sorts of fruits and veggies and dishes and meals. But at the same time, every photo could also stand alone and it wouldn't look out of place. So that's what creative comes up.
Don't think you can see this, but
you gotta tilt the screen down.
This is a picture of, I don't know who it is, but it's a fail. every single one of these is like a screenshot of a conversation. Well, when I go to look at it, I got to blow them all up just to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't see it. I mean, the print is too small, but it goes on and on. There must be 30 pictures like that. So to me, why would I want to go there if I cannot see the details?
Mm-hmm. And Instagram, the thing I've noticed about Instagram, I've managed a lot of different company accounts on it, and the biggest thing to note is the mentality of someone scrolling through Instagram. People aren't really there to learn the in-depth information. They're there to see what's going on in people's worlds. So yes, you want to come to the table bringing value, but that value needs to come from this place of insight almost. So, what goes on in your day in the life of you, what's happening, what are you doing, what's new in your world, what tips do you have for lifestyle, again, I would say that Instagram's a very lifestyle oriented thing. So if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you host a lot of masterminds, if your job is to engage people and build a tribe, which is most business owners, but especially B2C business owners, then it's definitely a platform to build an initial community, not a close-knit community, but the type of tribe that looks up to you for daily insight. And sometimes that daily insight is going to be in the form of a quick tip. Sometimes it's going to be a quick video. They just expanded Instagram videos a couple months ago to be a full minute. And a full minute gives you a lot of time. 60 seconds is a lot of time to get, some quick tips out for the day. It's a lot longer than 30 seconds, which I like, but it's not so long. Like on Facebook Live, people can just go on and on and on. Whereas you have 60 seconds, bang out 5 tips, 2 tips, 3 tips for somebody, and boom, that's a great piece of content. And what's also cool about it is you can do 1 post a day and you can still build a good following. I mean, the more, the better, of course, but you don't have to constantly be on Instagram to build.
One of the things that I find intriguing with Instagram versus some of the other networks is that it's great for service type businesses. It's also great for realtors. It's great for professionals to be able to get out there and educate their clients so much easier. With a realtor, you can be taking pictures of properties and posting them up there, and people are going to go there and say, wow, this is pretty cool. With service type industries, you can take pictures of your customers, your testimonials, whatnot, and get them there. And now you got real-time engagement that people can see what's going on. Absolutely.
And also, it's great if you have really cool visual elements to your company. So artists, if you're not on Instagram, as a musician, a painter, drawing person, whatever art form you do, architecture, that's a real good place to show and glimpse your portfolio. It's a wonderful place to build a portfolio. I would also include like your blog is kind of a portfolio, but Instagram's a great place if you're a visual brand, a visually appealing brand. And I kind of call it the eye candy platform, because a lot of people like to just sort of scroll through mindlessly and kind of see all the pretty photos and stuff. And so if you have a lot of that type of content, then you can just tell people, like if you're on Twitter or Facebook too, you can be like, hey guys, if you want to see our photo library or our portfolio of work, go to our Instagram. And that will give people a really, really good sense of your style. If you do commission artwork, when you're, talking to somebody about commissions, you can just be like, hey, check out my Instagram, follow me on Instagram, and you'll get to see a feel of my past work and the future work I'm going to be doing. And you'll get to see if, you want to hire me for commission work or not, or if our styles mix and blend and all that. So I know an artist who does fantasy artwork, and she posts a lot of hers on Instagram and uses that for just getting the word out there.
Now let's talk about hashtags, because I know we touched base with it last week. And, whereas Facebook is kind of diminishing the hashtag, it's still going strong on Twitter. But even though Instagram is owned by Facebook, the hashtag is really taking a hold on Instagram, and you can put so many hashtags on Instagram, and sometimes it gets to the point where it's nauseating. But I don't think that people really fully understand the power of a hashtag. But I think that it's the power is on Instagram versus some of the other networks.
Absolutely, yeah. So on Instagram, you have up to 30 hashtags per post, which is a lot of hashtags. I mean, on Twitter, if you do over 3 hashtags, that's a little obnoxious. On Facebook, even 1 can be a little bit like irrelevant at this point. But on Instagram, you can do 30. And the one way I suggest using it is create a note file. You could do it on your phone or on your computer, and group 25 hashtags in one grouping in your industry. And you can look up, there's something called hashtracker.com, and it will share with you some of the top hashtags that you can use for your specific industry. Like for me, I use social marketing, a business, entrepreneurship, hustle, those types of words, just the buzzwords in the industry. And I use 25 of the 30 in that grouping, and I put it in my iPhone in the notes file, the notes app. So whatever phone you're on, I'm sure you have some notes app or something that you can store stuff like that. And I have one, I don't know if you can see this, but for every client, I have hashtag notes on my phone, and those are the groupings. And the reason I use 25 is that those are the bulk hashtags I use, and then every other post has 5 additional hashtags I can add that are specific to the post. And I put those hashtags underneath in the comment section after I've published the post. So I go to post the photo, I put the caption, I might include 2 or 3 hashtags in the caption itself, post it, publish it, and then I go and grab the proper grouping of hashtags and put it in the comments, because that way, when more people come and comment, that hashtag comment gets buried under everybody else who's commenting, but it's still getting out into the Instagram verse. So people are still seeing it.
Now, I see some people actually putting the full 30 right there in the post, and that gets a little distracting.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to that. It's definitely time saving, and it is distracting sometimes, but I think it's not a huge problem given that that's kind of the culture of Instagram. Definitely go there expecting to see a lot of hashtags, but at the same time, I just like using under the comments. It also makes it easier to regram someone, which means to reshare. And unfortunately, it's the oddest thing. Instagram doesn't have a way that you can reshare somebody's content from Instagram. So you have to download an app, and the best app is Regram, or one of those apps like that allows you to basically share someone else's Instagram post.
Well, here's a thing that I like to do when someone leaves me a testimonial about my service or my books or whatever, and they put it on Instagram. I take that video and I embed it, or I embed that gram that they put up there, and I put it on my website. Why? I couldn't even think there for a second. It's a big word. Long day. But, embedding those things from Instagram will actually give that person more power, because now they're going to your website. They're seeing that testimonial. They're seeing that video. They're reading all the hashtags that they mentioned in their testimonial about you. And the follow button is live right on that embed file on your website. So when they click it, now they can follow that person who gave you the testimonial.
Yeah. So
utilize that. I mean, help other people get followers that have given you testimonials.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And shouting people out, with a lot of my clients, we pick about, 5 to 10 accounts that are complementary to the industry of that we're posting about, and that we also mutually respect and all this. And it's almost like creating your own little social grouping of people, and once a day, once a week, however you want to work it, share each other's content and like intentionally shout each other out. And that's fine. I mean, it's still honest because you're not just going to anybody. And I would pick people who are who have similar followings as you. So if you have like 500 followers, I wouldn't necessarily reach out to somebody who has 10,000 followers, because you can't help them in an equal way, if that makes sense. But you can help somebody within the range of like 700 and 500 followers. And and what happens is you help build each other up, you help build each other's platforms, you help build each other's network, and you're saying, hey, I really trust this person and I'm going to share their stuff. And then they reciprocate and they're like, I trust this person. And so you get to build your network of trust, of following, of community. And it makes your content a little bit more curated. So it's not just me. A lot of artists have trouble. They feel very odd, constantly sharing their artwork. They feel like, I know I need to because I need to promote my work. But at the same time, I just constantly feel like it's drawing attention to myself. And so that's a really good way to give back to other artists in the community, shout them out, give them some love, support each other. Same with, whoever you are, really. If you feel awkward, because it's such a visual platform, so it's like selfies go far, but then you're like, how many selfies should I do in a day? And when is it too much? And, that type of thing. So definitely identify people who are complementary in your industry and field and share from them.
Well, it's like, some of these people go out and they join these referral networks. Well, that's all fine and good, but if you can get a few friends that can actually increase your Instagram, you can actually create an Instagram referral network where you're just referring back and forth and sharing your content. And after a while, say you have 10 people that do that, after a while, your following is going to grow because you guys are sharing each other's stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. You only help each other, and then when you have like 10, 5 to 10 people doing this, you're reaching audiences of about 10 other people. So that only helps you all grow together. Definitely. Let's talk about the storytelling aspect of Instagram. We always say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and that is definitely the motto of Instagram. It's like all you can post is images. I mean, they now have the direct chat feature, which is cool. It's also a little bit spammy. It's going the direction of the Instagram, the Twitter DM, where it's just a lot of times it can be junk, but you can definitely use it in a way to interact in a new way with people. But on the public posting of Instagram, you really have to, when you're developing your strategy, decide how you're going to visually tell your story. And that can be hard, especially if you're in a niche that doesn't necessarily feel like a visual niche, and your instant default is like, we're just going to post a bunch of quotes that sound good. Well, that's cool and that's fine, but like Rob was saying earlier, that doesn't make you different, because every other page on Instagram is doing that. So, example, it might be really weird to have somebody in the dentist industry to have an Instagram account, because you're like, what am I going to do? Am I going to like Instagram people's teeth all day? No, that's awkward. But you can create tips, you can share testimonials. I know there's a dentist office in a few hours away from me that is like, there are people who drive from like Florida to go see this guy, and they have this amazing testimonial wall. So if you have a testimonial wall and you share stories and share, obviously you would need to get permission from your customers first, but share the stories of your customers, share team updates about what your team is doing, share daily tips about what people can do, remedies that people can use for toothaches, whatever, ways people can prevent problems. There are amazing ways to do that. And is it like taking photos of people's teeth all day and because that's relevant? No, of course not. But you can use visual elements. So, okay, if there's a specific product or herb or something that somebody can use for, curing toothache, like clove. Clove helps cure toothache. If you suck on a clove, that helps. So take a nice picture of that herb. You post it up. Say, guys, if you are going through this trouble, this is what you can use. Do tips. And so that is a way that you can creatively use the platform without needing to create this like awkward, we're just going to post motivational quotes because that's what you do if you have nothing else to post type thing. So definitely be creative about that. And I intentionally picked a very weird, hard industry to like build a Instagram following on. If it takes you too long to figure out, hey, what do I do here? There's two things you can do. You can join our social leverage group on Facebook and ask us. And I'm sure we'll be happy to sort of recommend some strategies for you, or B, pick another platform because that might not be for you. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's I had to get to my footing secure, I think, in Instagram. It took me a while. It was one of those things where it was completely different than Facebook, completely different than Twitter. And I think the first social network I joined was LinkedIn, and then Facebook, and then Twitter. So Instagram was weird to me. So
not MySpace?
No, I skipped over MySpace.
But you were on Friendster.
Briefly, yes. Yes, I'm like one of the 3 people that was on it, and I will never admit it any besides being on this program. So, so if you have the opportunity of watching this episode, you can say, hey, yeah, that Rob guy was on Friendster. But anyway, back to Instagram. It is different, and you're going to have to kind of gauge your own journey through it, because it's going to be an evolution. Mm-hmm. You may say, well, this is working, and after a while you get comfortable, and then you're going to start doing the same things over and over again, and you're going to have to mix it up and start over, and finally you're going to get some footing and say, you know what, no, this is how I'm going to do things. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take time.
Yeah. And I think one thing to keep in mind too, like any platform, is go in to the platform. I would say, create a profile, but before you decide on a strategy, follow people who are sort of in your industry, see what they're doing. Even if they have bad profiles, note that for what you don't want to do. Go in, get the vibe of the platform, see what's going on there, follow people that you admire, see what they're doing, draw ideas from different industries. I get a lot of I manage a gardening account on Instagram, and I get a lot of ideas in terms of the visuals from other gardeners, but then also from people in the food industry about, arranging a photo that's visually appealing, so get ideas from different industries, different accounts you like, find a vibe you like, and then create if it still feels like a platform that you want to pursue and you want to keep, that would help you grow your business in a way that makes sense, then create your strategy based on, okay, we're going to follow these principles that these others are using that we really like and resonate with, and we're just going to tell our story in these ways, and we're going to avoid doing some of the things that we don't like or that don't resonate with us as a business.
Let's talk about frequency, because we know that Facebook is, if you post once or twice a day, you're in the good graces of your audience. If you on Twitter, it's maybe 10 or 12 times a day, to stay consistent. But with Instagram, it's a little different. So what's your strategy?
Yeah, so it's different for pretty much every account, actually. So one account is like 9 times a day, and it's scheduled content. There's a site called grum.co. I think it's a grum.co. I'll link it in the article that accompanies this video. And it's a new platform, actually, and allows you to schedule content on Instagram. But I would say an average is 2 to 3 Instagram posts a day, but at the same time, you can get away with like one post a day. You can even get away with one post every 2 days, but I would stick to one a day to start with for sure. And the reason is because the longevity of an Instagram post with 30 hashtags is pretty long. And so you're going to get people liking those posts even well into the next day, especially as you start to build momentum. I mean, when you obviously, like, the first week or two is just going to be like meh results just because you're getting going. People aren't used to you being on the platform, so you're just revving up. If you are sort of switching from a personal look to your Instagram and are kind of transitioning into the business look, it's going to take a little while for people to get used to that new vibe from you, or vice versa. And so give it a little time. You know, don't be like, get on there tomorrow and then expect the next day to have, you know, 100 likes on your photos. But create a rhythm that is manageable to start with, see how that goes for a few weeks, and then build from that. So I would say start with 1 to 2 posts a day.
You know, I hang on. Is that better? My phone's creating feedback. I've been noticing, though, a lot of people that create videos day in and day out will take a segment of that video and put it on Instagram. And, you know, they'll have a follow me link to wherever that video is being hosted. Mm-hmm. Is that a good thing or not? Because, you know, to me, it just seems like, well, I'm going to Instagram for one thing. I don't want to go to there and watch half the video and then got to go somewhere else to watch the whole thing again.
It is a good strategy, partly because Instagram, like Twitter, is about bite-sized content. And so posting part of the video, so it works a little better if you can create like almost a mini trailer of the larger video wherever that's hosted. So if it's not just a straight, I'm just taking a straight, you know, 1-minute clip intro, but instead have it sort of mixed and dotted so they get a feel of what they're going to watch later, and then they can bookmark and be like, okay, yeah, I want to go to YouTube and watch this full thing or not. But it's good. So definitely there's a strategy behind that. I wouldn't be like, here's a 5-minute video and here's the first full minute on Instagram. I would definitely expend some time into making like a little trailer if you can. If you can't do it, it's no big deal. It really isn't. Just start. You might even just decide to stick the first 10 to 15 seconds on Instagram instead of the full minute slot that they provide. But, you know, play around.
How about blooper videos?
Yeah, if you're comfortable with that. If you're comfortable with that, do it because it's hilarious and people love it and it humanizes you. But some people just aren't comfortable with that. So, you know, you got to do what you're comfortable with.
So you don't like blooper videos?
Not so much, no, I don't. I like watching them. I don't like actually doing them. I haven't reached that confidence level where I'm cool with that being out in the world.
To me, I make videos every day. There's always bloopers I could share. And I just did one for a lawyer client. And I took all the bloopers of, I think, 6 or 7 of his videos and made it into and people, they loved it. But, you know, there again, it's what you're comfortable with. You know, are you an introvert, extrovert? You know, you got to let that shine out to people, because if you're an introvert on Instagram, but they meet you in real life and you're not, no, it's not going to work.
That's gonna be crazy.
So we got some new people that just joined us. So if you guys want to chime in and introduce yourself, that's great. If not, we're talking about Instagram and how to effectively use Instagram to brand yourself, to create trust with your audience, and to grow your following base.
Yeah. Take lots of selfies. No, just kidding.
We could.
Yeah, but I think the most, and I say this all the time, and you almost begin to sound like a broken record saying it so much, but it's really about being comfortable telling your brand story in an authentic way on every single platform in the context of that platform. So on Instagram, it's short little videos and it's little photos, images, visuals. On Twitter, it's tweets. On Facebook, it's posts. So be comfortable enough to tell your story in an authentic way and make sure it's not just cookie cutter and you're not doing this. I'm posting the same. How do you leverage Snapchat? Hey, we talked about Snapchat a couple of weeks ago. I'll send you the link to that, but we're focusing on Instagram this week.
But what I have noticed though is some people have taken their videos off of and their snaps off of Snapchat and shared them on their Instagram. Is it acceptable? Yeah, everything is kind of acceptable as long as it, the people that are on your Instagram don't see it as a Snapchat extension. They
Right.
see it as, an Instagram being, you being an individual sharing your life with them.
And I would say use it as sneak previews. Like, this is my Instagram and I post this content, but hey, if you want this different type of content from me, and if you want to see me in sort of a different setting, then follow me on Snapchat. Now, I do see a lot of people on Instagram taking screenshots of their tweets and posting it consistently, like all the time, like every single tweet. And I would shy away from that, again, for the same reason. Your Twitter is your Twitter, and you're telling your company's story and your information in soundbite ways on Twitter. That doesn't mean you need to take a screenshot and post that same content to Instagram, because you're going to get a lot of crossovers in your followings. There's going to be different people, of course, that follow you, but then you're going to have like a core audience that follows you everywhere. So they're going to follow you on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're at, Snapchat. And if they're constantly seeing all the same content on every single platform, then they're quickly going to lose interest, and they're just going to follow you where they hang out most. So you're going to lose a lot of following doing that.
So anybody that's new here, I just put a link down to our Facebook group that you can join. So if you have questions that are offline or, we don't cover on the show, you can join our social leverage show group and ask questions. You can get past episodes, and the sky's the limit to the questions that you can ask. So, go ahead and click the link, join our group, and, we can see you off the show there. And then if you have questions for future shows, then we'll answer them then too.
I'd say, James said, hey, James. Nice to see your face here. I follow James pretty much everywhere online, FYI.
I'm sorry.
I'd say when I get tweeted by someone major, I will share it on Instagram, but otherwise I don't. Yeah, that's cool. If someone shouts you out that you admire, or they like one of your tweets or whatever, and that's like a cool, fun brag moment, because it's like, oh my gosh, I admire this. It's almost like being noticed by someone you really, really like. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. We post all our past videos into that Facebook group as well. So cool.
Yeah, we also have, I keep them on my website. I think Devani keeps them on her website, or thinks about putting them on her website.
Yeah.
Liz Gilbert, I'm not familiar. What does she do?
Oh, she's Elizabeth Gilbert. She's the Eat, Pray, Love lady. She did the Big Magic book recently, which I still have not read. It's on my list of books to read.
I'm disappointed in you.
I know. Yeah, James actually keeps telling me to read that book, and it's creeping up there on the list. The last book I read was, actually, I half read Lewis Howe's School of Greatness book. Really good book. I didn't read all of it, but it's a great book.
So, is there any questions that you guys have about Instagram that we can answer right now? Otherwise, we'll go back to what we're kind of chatting about.
Yeah, don't forget to when you have links on Instagram, that tell people in the description of your image that the link is in the bio and they should check it out, and preferably do it within the first 2 or 3 lines. Otherwise, it'll get buried in the read more, and that doesn't help you. So you can be like, if you say your post, okay, say your pod. I know James is a podcaster. He has a podcast, and so if you're doing an image about your podcast, I would recommend, so you take the image of whatever it's about or something relative or a quote from the podcast, whatever you're going to do, post it and say like episode 15 of my podcast, and then immediately link in bio for more, and then go and describe whatever you're going to say about that episode. How long should Instagram posts be? Blog posts, short blog posts? I think I would say for an Instagram post, I would do no more than 2 paragraphs max. And by 2 paragraphs, I mean 2 relatively short paragraphs. You can do longer. They don't have a huge limit. I think it's like 2,000 characters, which is a ridiculous amount of space. But I would keep it shorter because, again, the people who consume Instagram content are looking for bite-sized pieces. So it is better shorter, but you can get away with a lot.
Let's talk about Instagram advertising, sponsoring your ads.
I haven't actually done any. All of ours has been organic. Have you done any?
No, I have it, because I'm a Facebook manager of several doctors and lawyers. It's an option on the Facebook manager itself, and you can actually, once you create your Facebook ads campaign, you can switch it over to Instagram as well.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is that the ones that get sponsored seem to be a target to spam attacks. People jumping in and say, hey, buy more likes or buy followers for $5 or $10 or whatever the price is. And there's more spam on those sponsored than there is on the organics.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. And Instagram has an interesting spam problem. I've been noticing more and more of that lately. I've been having to manage a lot of junky. And I think part of that is due to the fact that in terms of social media history, which really isn't that long, but it's a relatively new platform in terms of its real growth. And so the more a platform grows, and it's exploding, as a platform still, even though Snapchat's taken the entire universe by storm, Instagram is still growing at a fast rate. And so every time you have that, you're going to have more spam. But yeah, I haven't tried ads. In fact, we should do an episode on that once we've had a chance to play around with it. I barely use Snapchat. Don't worry, if you don't use Snapchat, we won't even talk about it. It's okay.
We talked about Snapchat last week, and only because
2 weeks ago. We talked about Twitter last week.
Oh yeah, that's right. After a while, all the weeks are the same.
That is a bad way to market a show, Rob. Shame on you. We talk about a different topic every week, guys.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Got to get these marketers in line.
I know. It's just terrible. The things that come out of my mouth.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I completely forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, it was about Snapchat. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, and Twitter last week. I remember that. But now I completely forgot what I was going to say, and I think it was brilliant, but I guess I'm just getting old.
Oh, well. Yeah. So James, I know you use Facebook, Twitter a lot, and you sometimes use Snapchat. Do you want to call in, James? You can do that. You can press the call in button. It'd be cool to in-person talk if you want, but if you don't, that's cool. Anyway, I know that you mainly do blogging, Twitter, and Facebook. Those are your main platforms. And I noticed you were getting more active on your Instagram, which is cool because I follow you, and for a while it was like nothing, and now you're actually posting at least daily or at least every 2 days, which is really cool. So that's awesome.
I don't post as often as I should. So when let's say if I do a blog post, I usually will capture that image on my blog post and then I'll share it on my Instagram. And just letting people know that, hey, I got a new blog. Hey, there he is. Welcome, James.
Hi.
British, what's up?
All the way from England, yeah. Yeah, it's evening time here. Where are you guys? I know you're on the East Coast, aren't you?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
I'm in North Carolina.
Right. I know that doesn't really mean much to me.
Yeah.
West, middle, whatever.
We're across the pond. and that's all you really need to know.
Yeah, we're the closest to English.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowhere near Hollywood. No. Mm-mm.
No. Oh well. No. No, this is funny because me and Devani talk all the time on Twitter and Facebook and things, but we haven't talked like physically at all face to face for about a year or something. Anyway, yes. What was it you wanted me to talk about?
Instagram.
Yeah. I started using that more recently. I did because I like it because it's a way you can. I'm quite a visual person. You can say more as well on Instagram. You can say something a bit longer. You can do something visual. I don't know. It's and it's less hostile than Twitter as well. I found.
For sure. There's a lot less on Twitter. There's a lot of people who, if you make one infraction or say one thing that gets on somebody's nerves, a little like Facebook, it's like this storm and everyone's like, oh my God, you said the wrong thing or you got something wrong. And on Instagram, it's more just about, cool photo, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I have, kind of put Instagram to the side, as I built up my Snapchat. And I think there have been a lot of people who have done that, but then they've deleted their Snapchat, went back to Instagram because it's a better feel.
Yeah.
Anybody who's done that.
I do like the feel of. I've got to admit, I do like the feel of Instagram. It's a bit. I don't know. I can't.
It has a very tribe vibe to it, I think.
Yeah, it also feels like it's more imaginative. There's more room for. It's softer, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. The problem is, the only thing is difficult. It's difficult to use it on your laptop. It's brilliant for your phone.
Yeah.
But on your laptop, you can't really use it at all because it's just a lot more difficult. But
it's a mobile-only app. One thing that I do is, with some of my clients, what we do is we will manage the bulk of the branded content. So we'll have the templates, the quotes, the branded, announcements, promos, and we'll have those pre-created, templated, and then they'll go in and between sections, they'll post the sort of vibe type images, like here's a selfie of me doing this, or here's a video of me sharing this tip, that type of thing. So if you're an individual, one thing I recommend is like pre-create for the week, a dozen or so pre-made up templated things, but then throughout those breaking points between posting those like quotes or whatever it's going to be, podcast promos, between those, then post the personal bits, just like go on natively to the platform. And I don't know if you had jumped on, but there is an app called Grum, GRUM.co, and I'll tweet you the link later. But it allows you to schedule from your desktop to Instagram,
really?
And it will post it to the Instagram account.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, I didn't know that. So you're always up with the latest stuff. I'm not very good at keeping up with all that kind of thing. And there's so many social media networks out there now. I've lost. I keep hearing about new ones that I haven't even heard of before.
Well, and the thing is, over in Europe, there's a lot more than there is here in the United States.
At least a lot more big ones.
Right.
Because it's different. Like, there's a lot of different. I mean, like, I know in like Japan and China, they both have like their own that are totally different. Like, they're still on Facebook and stuff, but they have like their own set of social media platforms that are big. So it's all different.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's the whole deal, isn't it?
Now in the UK, are there any like platforms are there any differences? Like here, it's like Snapchat and Instagram are like the two big platforms in terms of dominating the market right now. Are there any that's different in the UK?
I don't think there's any different. I mean, Snapchat's huge over here now. It's really getting big. Lots of people have Snapchat. People use Snapchat rather than send text messages a lot of the time. because you can easily forget somebody's number or whatever, and it's just, and you can do, and also you can do joint conversations a lot more easily in Snapchat. I'm in a Facebook, like for example, my home group with my church, we have a Snapchat group, like an ongoing conversation with all of us, so we can just like, if we've got anything we need prayer for or whatever we need to talk about, we can just put it in there, and it's private and it's just between all of us. I don't use it that much, but it is really good. Over here, I think Twitter's quite big over here, because I don't know about America, but I noticed that a lot more British people tend to discuss politics and stuff. Especially
it comes in waves. It comes in waves here. It depends.
Yeah, but I just see it a lot more over here, because I think a lot of the, well, maybe it's just the people that I know, but a lot of the writers I know over here tweet a lot more about politics and issues and topical stuff than American bloggers that I know. You know, and that's probably just a cultural thing, I suspect. But and I tweet about politics and stuff, and I've wrestled with that a lot, because I think, well, you know, there's the whole branding thing, and like, oh, you know, it sabotage your brand if you tweet about politics. But then there's the whole authenticity thing, and it's like, well, this is something that I care about, that I'm passionate about, that it's part of who I am. And as long as it doesn't,
that's the nice thing about Instagram, though, that you can post the pictures that will show people your authenticity. You know, what you're passionate about, what you like, and you know, they can see those feelings in images.
Mm-hmm.
Where sometimes on Facebook and Twitter, they're seeing those words, but you know, because someone forgot a comma or a period, you know, they get a whole different meaning, and they get upset, and they start to riot, and before you know it, you got a revolution on your hands.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, this show isn't really about, this particular episode isn't really about politics, but since it was brought up, we should talk about it. It's one of those things you have to decide early on whether you as a person, you as a business, is going to talk about it. And I think part of the one big differentiating factor, if you're building a brand that's not around you as a person, I would strongly caution not talking about politics, because unless you're a political company or an organization that's about a political topic, of course.
I actually would agree on that, definitely, because but my brand is my name.
Right.
It's not, and I'm not an organization. I'm not a. Sorry, I'm just lost it a bit for a minute. I'm not an organization. I don't, I'm not a company. It's me. Like, my blog has got my name on it. Yeah, and
so you just have to come from a point then of, does this particular topic define who I am, and am I bringing a helpful piece of conversation to it, or am I just agitating the marketplace with more noise? So you have to sort of draw that line and be like, okay, am I bringing some actual thoughtfulness to this conversation, or am I just, ranting about whatever? And that's okay. Sometimes you need to rant about stuff, but just be aware that if you do that, you automatically need to be okay with the fact that people get ridiculously passionate about all sorts of things when it comes to politics. So you're going to get that. You're going to get people who are just like, you are a nut job. What are you doing? What are you talking about? I'm not following you anymore. Yeah. And just prepare yourself for that.
Like on Facebook, I am part of a group called Politics Debate or whatever. So any politics stuff on Facebook, I generally put in there, because it doesn't need to be out in the public, especially if everyone's discussing it, and especially if people I know that people disagree with me. It's just like, I don't need the hassle of that out in the public. So keep it in the group. On Twitter, I kind of balance all out and try not to be too confrontational.
Mm-hmm.
And often it's just retweets that I do as well.
Yeah.
So I try not to kind of, but sometimes it kind of fits with some of the things in my writing, because a lot of the things in my writing are about spirituality and philosophy and cultural stuff, and that ties in with it a little bit, so it does tie in a little bit with my brand, if you want to call it that, as well.
So my sort of philosophy on it is for like vital media marketing. It makes no sense for me to talk about politics, honestly, quite frankly. So we don't touch it. But for me as a person, I will only talk about it if I can bring something positive to the table about a particular issue, and if that particular issue is something that I want to spend energy then explaining to people, which like 95% of the time I don't like expending that energy. So it's just a toss up, really.
I find that there's very little drama on Instagram. So if I post something, people will either like it or comment on it, but they won't attack me like they will on Twitter or Facebook.
People know on Instagram, you know, people know how to be.
I know, it's like the cool place, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It's kind of like that. It feels like a hippie place.
It really is. It's a very hippie vibe there.
Yeah, really. I've just noticed, like, we just had Glastonbury. You probably haven't heard of Glastonbury, have you? It's like the ultimate hippie music festival. It started in the 60s and it's still going. And it's in this like, out in the countryside, this guy has a field that he basically lets everybody use. And all the big, and it's huge, and all the big bands go there, you know, literally like they had this year, I think they had like Adele and Coldplay and Muse and everyone who's anyone has been there basically. It's like it's one of the biggest ones you can get, one of the biggest gigs you can get. But it's it's true hippie stuff there, and it's all mud and like psychedelic stuff, and like, you know, and you can, and something about Instagram reminds me of that vibe, you know.
Sure.
So yeah.
Cool.
Well, on that note, we only have a few minutes left.
Oh.
So is there anything important that we should convey to our readers, to our listeners or watchers?
Yeah,
viewers?
read my words. They're just blowing out.
That's right.
Yeah, join the group if you're watching this. If you're watching this recording, the link is obviously below in the article, and we will see you guys next week. And next week we're gonna be here on Tuesday. It's the first time we've done a Tuesday anything on here, but Rob is gonna be traveling, and so we didn't want to be corny and record something, and we didn't want bad connection to happen, so we're just like, we'll do this Tuesday. And yeah, so that's it.
Because I'll be in the airport at the time of the next scheduled recording, and Philadelphia Airport has no Wi-Fi connection, and you know, I could use my data, but it's going to be a lousy connection there. Yeah. So I figured let's make it clean and clear and crisp and
awesome.
Have fun without all that.
It'll be 3 p.m. on Tuesday, so we'll keep it at the 3 p.m. time so it's not weird. But yeah, you have been warned, and obviously you'll get an email from one of us about it. So
and James, tell all your friends and have them come on board.
Yeah, send me an email about it, because I didn't know about this until I literally just randomly. I think I saw you tweet about it or something or whatever, and I just followed the tweet. So I got an email from you.
Yeah.
I did get an email from you. So I clicked on the link. I didn't know.
What time is it there? 9?
9 o'clock. Yeah, 9 p.m.
Yeah. So we're glad you're joining us from the UK, and
yeah, I love using Blab. I've done a few Blab calls myself actually, on lots of different things. I did one on writing, authenticity in writing a few weeks back. I'm going to do a few more, I think. So yeah, Blab's awesome.
Awesome.
Anyway, cool. Everybody else, we'll see you next week.
Thanks
for joining.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.